Hello guys, and welcome back to our car modeling tutorial today. And today we are having an absolute nightmare. So my screen capture recording software has failed on me quite a number of times. So this is the fourth time that I would have to be creating this section. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk through what I've done rather than creating the whole section again. And then hopefully you guys can pause this video here and just go through, make sure you've got what we need here, and then we can move on to the next section. So firstly, what I've done is I've created kind of a cage here to hold on to all of our light elements. So if we hide everything else, what we can see is I created a plane that went all the way across the front of the headlight here. I then extruded that plane in and straightened off the back. So we can see there that that's nice and straight. So we've got one complete unit here which is separate from the actual body itself. So all of those vertices at the edge of each of these planes was attached inside here to the second line in. So the reason it's attached to the second line in is because we didn't want it completely up to the front of the body panel. Then what we did was we added lines and topology inside here which matched the topology that we have on the outside here. And we can see when it's not smoothed we have a little bit of a gap, but when it is smoothed here you can see that that curves around that corner nicely. So we've added topology to each of the corners to match to make sure that we get a similar kind of curve as we go. On the inside here what we did was we created a lip, and this lip here is going to be where the glass is actually going to sit on top of rather than the body itself. So the lip that we have inside here we extruded in just like we have before, and this is where the glass is going to be attached to, because the glass on elements like the headlight here isn't actually attached to the body panels, it's attached to a main unit itself. So we have a completely independent unit separate to the body and the actual body panels of the car, which is going to contain all of the light elements. Now, as well as that, we actually started to put together the daytime running lights section of these headlights. So you can see on my reference images here that we have these lights which are already lit up on the front of the car here, and these lights here are just purely started from a plane and then we extruded out in order to make the shape. The shape we followed from the front view here and the top view. Now mine didn't line up perfectly, but I got them as close as possible. And then the bottoms of these sections here just align underneath the lip that we created here, so we can't actually see the bottom sections of these lights. Now they currently look a little bit crude, and the reason for that is because we need to extrude in between each of these once we've got the lights in place here. Extruding in between each of these is going to bridge the gap, but in order to bridge that gap what we need to do is make sure that the topology between these sections matches to some extent. So what we'll want to do is make sure that when we actually go to do that section we can add in more edge loops inside here to make sure that we can facilitate the darker section of the headlights, as we can see inside here with the ridges on as well. So hopefully if we crack on now we're not going to have too many problems with the screen capture. And what we're going to do next is we are going to create the actual lights themselves. Now it's got two lights and both of them are incredibly similar to each other. So in order to create these, I think what we'll do is we'll work from a tube to start with, because I believe looking at these they're kind of hexagonal shaped. So we don't want to create a perfect circle until we're actually inside the element here. So we can see that there's kind of a little bit of a gap between those. So what we'll do is we will create a polygon pipe. We'll drag that out here so we can see it. And to this polygon pipe we are going to want to do a few things. So firstly let's just limit our view here to all of our sections. So to this pipe here we need to affect some elements. So we want to edit our subdivisions on our axis here to 6, because we want that to be a nice curved hexagon. I'm going to take the thickness all the way down. Let's go 0.08. We take the thickness all the way down here. Let's rotate this around. Here. that should be okay. We can edit that thickness if we need to. And we're just going to bring this in place, and we're just going to create the first light here, and then I believe it's going to be a case of creating this first light here and then duplicating it across into the other section that we have here. Now, I can't actually see in my blueprints the top one, so we'll maybe work off the bottom one here. So we can just about see an outline. We can see that it's going to run around here. So what we'll do, let's skew this a little bit. So it looks like that is what we want to work with there. Let's just give that a little bit more length, and then we can throw that in here. Now the length of these doesn't really matter, because what's going to happen is when we extrude in off these edges, we're not actually going to see the back of this cage, so it really doesn't matter how far back we go just now, as long as we're matching what we want on our blueprints here. And we can see, just about see this light there, so we can drop that into position here. So that looks pretty good sitting inside there. Now we do have a little bit of detail inside this first. So before we actually put the lens in itself, we can see that we've got a little bit of a ridge that comes up inside this section. So what we'll do inside here is we will add some edge loops, and we'll maybe start there, come down just here. So we don't need to ridge the whole section. So we'll select all of this, we'll hit Ctrl E, and we'll just pull in on our blue option there. So that's going to create that little ridge for us, not quite that much. And what we're going to have to do is we're going to aim to smooth this section as well. So when we smooth this, obviously it's going to go to more or less an oval shape there. Now, let's just see if there's any more detail we need to add. That looks pretty good as it is. So what we'll do with these sections is we are going to insert some edge loops here. What we'll do is we're going to drop maybe one per corner. So if we go here, here, here. I'm not going to go too close, because we don't want it to be too harsh. Okay, that's a little bit better, but I think we need a little bit more to it, so maybe we'll insert one either side. Again, not too close, so we're not going to make an actual sharp point. Okay, that looks a little bit better. Looks good. And then what we can do here is we can add some edge loops just to make sure. Pretty good for what we need just there. And what we'll do is inside here we'll actually drop in a new, more rounded section. So what we'll do here is this time we'll create a cylinder, bring this out. And what we'll do to this is we don't really want to be smoothing everything. So what we'll do is we'll boost up the subdivisions on the axis here to something like 30, because it's going to be fairly small, so it's not going to be too much of a big deal. And that should be fine. Rotate this around here. And we just want this to drop down nicely in the center of what we just created there. We can scale this down. So we'll pop that in just there. Now, we can see here that obviously our circle isn't quite meeting our edge there, so we can see that these aren't actually completely circular themselves. So because we selected 30, that's going to allow us to select each of the edges here and pull out closer to the section. So because we created 30, it meant that we had a flat edge on either of the top sections here. If we selected 20 or 40, it would have been a case that we would have had a line going straight up the middle there, which would have made it a little bit trickier. We can see here, maybe if we keep the center there, pull that out. So we see that's going to allow us there to bring everything out where it needs to be there, which is good. And what we'll do with this section is we're actually going to take it in. And the reason we're going to take it in is because the light itself is fairly spherical. So what we're going to want to do is, firstly, what we can do is we'll select all these, we'll actually duplicate. We'll duplicate this face here, and we'll delete all of the rear facing sections. So that's going to be our lens there. Inside here, this is going to be where our actual bulb is. So again, we'll select all these faces at the front and deselect anything else. Okay. What we'll do with this is we are going to extrude. We're going to extrude these sections in here. I'm just going to extrude in a few times. Just so that we can create a nice reflective section here where the bulb will sit and our lens will sit on top, our glass will sit on top. So we're just scaling in and then moving back, so we can see that we've created a nice little bit there. What we'll do with this is we'll pull this down and we'll do it just so that it's sitting just behind here. And we can select all these faces. Well, we'll select these faces here. We can extrude, and we'll just do the same again, but this time we'll bring it out. And we can see from our reference image that this is incredibly circular. Yeah. Okay, what we'll need to do real quick is we will need to pull this forward. Because of the extrusion, it would have kept the rear faces here, which we don't want. Delete all those rear facing faces there, and then I'll pull this down just in front of this ridge here. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. Now what we're going to do is let's pull both of these bits out here. So what we're going to do with this section is, let's just bring this one up as well. So what we'll do here is we just want to make sure that we're not going to be leaving a gap on either side. So we are going to insert some edge loops. We'll go one here and here. And we'll just grab these faces and we're just going to hit Control E and we're just going to pull them out here. Push this back into position. what we're going to want to do is we're just going to want to take the faces, the extra faces that we've got in view here. We can select it first. We'll just take that back down under the ridge. So we can see what all we're doing here is we're just filling in this gap. Just here. Just want to double check that when we smooth our lens here that we're still not got anything coming through. Do here. So we don't have to be too neat with this because it is out of view. So we can see that that's just covered in that gap there for us. If we bring our lens back in there. And we'll quickly apply a glass so we can see through that. Okay, so we can see now that we have our headlight section put together there. What we'll want to do is we'll want to take all of this, we'll want to Control D, so we'll duplicate that, and we'll drag that into position here. I think, we'll see if this one is the same size, so that's fine, but we'll boost it up just a little bit. And then, I believe you can just about see it there. Okay, cool. So that's looking pretty good just now for these headlights. So what we're going to want to do is bridge the gap now in between these sections here now. We can see that these are dropping it down, so they're fairly flat coming off the front of these lights here. So it looks to me like basically what we may want to do is have this edge here being the flat edge that runs all the way in, maybe. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll add our details to these lights here. So I'm going to add in the different topology, I'm just going to clean this up. Now again, like I said, the recording cut out, so in order to make these we just made one single plane, extruded out to follow the shape of the headlights here. Meet here. Now what it looks like to me is these edges here to push that back a little bit. Okay. So it looks to me like what we'll do is these edges here are going to extrude in. We'll do this on the world here. It looks to me like they're going to come in like so. Now, let's just get the bits we need here. push this back into position up here. Okay, so this edge here I believe should be going back there. Now what we'll do with this vertices is we'll snap it down here. So this is going to be our ridged section. So let's just make sure we've got nice shape. Two of those here. Okay, and then it looks to me like potentially we want that section to be higher. So we can see that these are roughly level here. They'll drop down a little bit, but they're roughly level. On my example here are considerably higher. So let's bring this down just a little bit. Again, trying to keep some form of curvature there. What we'll do with these ones here is we'll bring them up. So this is just going to be really fiddly until we get it sitting exactly how we want it to sit. Okay. So we have here, let's try and get these sitting next to each other a little bit better. So pull this down here. Again, just making sure that we're keeping that curve there. Pull this one here forward as well. Down. So we're going to have these two here bridging together. And then these two here can curve a little bit more. Just make sure that we haven't destroyed this there. Okay, so that looks good. Now these inside ones looks like they should be coming up around this section here. Kind of flowing around the headlight itself. So we'll come back and make sure that that's looking how it should. Looks to me as well like we're going to want to extrude all of these. Now even though we can't see these edges, we'll extrude them anyway. I'm going to come out the way here, only ever so slightly so we're not affecting too much up the top, just so that we can see the vertices that we need down here. What we'll actually do with that extrude is push them back. So now we can pull these ones out down here. Okay. So what we're going to do then is we are going to have these match this one, and this face match this one. And again, it looks still like we need to come higher up here. So it's kind of like a subtle decline as we go in. So what we'll do then with these ones is extrude, we'll go out, and we'll go in. Now it looks like at the start it's fairly smooth, but as we get further up here, there's a little bit more, so we need to insert an edge loop here, where we can snap this one too. This one isn't so severe, so we'll bring that back. And the same with this one here. So then we will do the same with these edges here. I'm going to go out, I'm going to go down. And again here, it looks like we come out a little bit more. Essentially what we're going to want to do here is merge two of these vertices, and then we'll have to think about cleaning that up so it's nice and straight. So look, see that? So now we know that with these edges here, we'll need to come up as well, just so that we can get that ridge. So, now what we'll actually do is we'll bring this one all the way down here. So this is probably going to be the fiddliest section of the build here. The most annoying section of the build. So what we'll want to do now is insert an edge loop. We'll go around here. And just make sure that we're maintaining that curve there. Looks good. Merge our vertices here. Again, we can see there that that's looking pretty good in terms of the depth. Okay, and it looks like what we want to do is do one more. So it looks like we want to extrude in on this edge as well. What we'll do is we'll just take both and then we can add to it later. Again, we'll merge here. And now we'll want to make sure that these sections are still nice and curved. And then what we'll want to do is take these two edges here. So we want to maintain this section here, so I'm going to need to bring this edge to meet. So firstly we'll merge this here. We'll probably reflect the same distance, just there. So it looks like we want to bring this one. Okay, so we can kind of see now that we're getting this shape here. What we'll do is we will quickly isolate this. Take these edges here. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now we're seeing this whole shape taking place now. What we'll do is we'll take this edge out here. All the way down the side, see the vertices. Straighten out. Now, what it looks like to me is it looks like this light here, so this side light that we have running down the front, is intersected by this one. So, what I think we'll need to do with this one is we'll need this one to run all the way up to the top here, just behind the lip. Now, I don't know if these have much anything going on in between. So we can see that they extrude in and they're kind of inset inside there, so it's kind of... So what we'll do is we'll bridge the gap, and then I think what we'll be able to get away with is bridging the gap and then extruding it in. So you can see we have... So this section here is going to intersect the light. So we'll do that one first. actually, maybe not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, that'll be fine. So we'll bring this one down here. This one here. Maybe I should just be able to bring all of these at once. Yes, merge that there. Now it looks like maybe this line is going down too far, so if we pull this edge here. I think it would probably work best if we merge this light here. Yep. And in doing so, we'll need to now adjust this point here. So like I said, it's just incredibly picky. Just pulling points, moving points here and there. So we'll be able to now select all of these points here. Okay, and I think what we'll do now is we will extrude these edges again. And this time we will meet the vertices that we require. I'll just have this one hold the shape just under the lip here. And then hopefully we should get a nice extrude down here. Element. Okay, that looks pretty good. Before we go any further, let's just make sure we curve in nicely here. So what we'll do at this stage here is I think we'll pull this point down. And I think from that point it may be best to go straight up to the actual light itself. Maybe go from a slightly different angle here. Straighten that up. And we'll pull that up under here. And spread that out there. So we know what we're aiming for there now. So I think we'll need what I'm going to do in between episodes is I am going to merge all of these together, so merge all three of these components together. I'm then going to separate the frontal face from the rest and just add a little bit more geometry here and there just to make it a little bit more smoother on the smooth side. Before we cap off this episode, what we'll do is we'll actually cap off the headlight itself. So we'll create a plane here, and we will remove all of our subdivisions. And what what we're going to do with this plane is we are going to attach this, and what we'll need to attach it to is this section. We need to take these two with us as well. And what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to attach this plane to the front section that we just created. And we're going to want to make sure that we are not overlapping here, and we also want to make sure that we have a little bit of curvature to it as well. So we want it to reflect exactly what we have down here. So we will merge this vertices to all the different corners. So we're going to merge this, like I said, to the actual cover, not the actual body parts themselves. So this is essentially one complete unit. So we can see that we've merged that nicely. What we'll actually do is we'll take this back to our poly view here. Okay, so we've got some curvature to that lens, so it's not just a completely flat surface. And then what we're going to want to do is just smooth this out just to make sure that everywhere is where it should be. Now we can see here that we do need to add Cool, so that's looking pretty good there. And then again, we can add our glass material here. Okay guys, so that's looking pretty good to me. We're not protruding anywhere that we shouldn't be. We are connected nicely to the actual rim of the glass here. So we've got one completely independent unit. So like I said, in between this episode and the next, I'm going to merge all the sections inside together, just smooth the geometry a little bit, extract the actual LED faces from the rear section, and then in the next episode we will move around to do the rear. Okay guys,